On today's show, it's a tale that has all the elements of a true love story.
I heart you, Ben.
Childhood sweethearts, heartbreak, and a little bit of fishing along the way. It's story time on Minnesota Bound, and this one you won't want to miss.
Oh, got her, both sides, right there.
If you notice, I left the skin on, but took the scales off. This way they're not going to crumble apart on the campfire grill.
Next, Laura Shera heads outdoors for grilling season. Feel the hankering for some kabobs? How about using fish?
How's that?
Very good.
Today is the rebuilding day.
And later, these folks are serious about introducing a kid to the great outdoors. Those stories and more, next.
I got one.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Raven and I welcome you to the show. Our first story, you could say, is about fishing, but really it's more than that. Would you believe it's also about love? This is a story with the perfect title, Muskie Love, I call it. See that fella casting, then casting some more? His name is Ben Olson. He loves muskie fishing. Loves it so much, he's a full-time fishing guide who specializes only in leading clients to the most elusive game fish in Minnesota.
Bring the rod all the way to the boat, then I just reach up and out. Nobody knows what makes us crazy about muskies.
The odds of catching a muskie or winning the slots in Vegas are similar, which may explain why his guiding business is called fishing hardcore.
It really grabs a hold of the people that get into it. It's crazy, this whole deal.
Do you have this no catch, no pay policy?
Absolutely not. We offer education and sightseeing.
So what's your batting average?
You know, in the old days it was 90%
Really?
out here for sure. Oh, this lake was so consistent and so full of fish. Nowadays it's more like 70, I bet.
But this story, Muskie Love, is about more than fishing. It's also about puppy love in Blaine Junior High.
Ben and I dated when we were in 8th grade, if you can call that dating at that point in life. In fact, we started going together on Valentine's Day in 1992 at the school dance.
Kelly has always been one of my favorite people.
Obviously, you know, a young love like that doesn't last.
So young love was left behind and life carried on.
We just kind of went about our separate ways.
Kelly found her husband Jeff and moved away to California. Back home in Minnesota, Ben was struggling.
I, made some bad decisions after high school and ended up in some trouble with drinking, and I was in a car accident.
In 2008, Kelly's life was also changed by a drunk driver.
My husband, who then passed away, was killed in a car accident by a drunk driver.
Now the plot turns again.
After that, I got sober and I started working with an organization called SAD and another organization called AWARE in the high schools around here.
Meanwhile, Kelly, now a widow, moved back to Minnesota. And oddly enough, their lives crossed again.
I was putting things back in the keepsake box and I found a note that Ben had written for me in 8th grade. and it was just a big smiley face, and it said, "Kelly, I hope you have a great day. I heart you, Ben." And I remembered that Ben was a fishing guide. And I just had this overwhelming urge to reach out to him. So I did what any girl in 2008 would do. I Googled him.
We got married June 30th, 2012.
So you think this could be the perfect ending to our tale of Muskie Love? Not quite. When we return, we'll continue the love of a muskie.
Ooh, he's barely hooked.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Connecticut. Open Air Solution. And by Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota.
Time now to return to our story about romance and catching muskies.
Muskie guide Ben Olson is a devoted muskie nut.
These are the mainstays of modern muskie fishing, Ron. Everybody's heard of the cowgirl. It literally revolutionized muskie fishing lately as far as numbers and size. There's really nothing that's compared to it. The other revolution has been the giant soft plastics. This is a Medusa.
But you need to be 21 years old to throw that all day. Looks like a squid.
It is a strange looking creation. Well, we're looking at massive. This particular one has been extremely eaten.
You know, 10 years ago, Ben, nobody would have thought of throwing a lure that has the color of a carnival game here, you know, that bright, but that started, and now it just keeps going.
Yeah, bright sun, clear water here. The fluorescent colors, the bright colors work really well. It is shocking in that clear water, especially when you can see it a mile out there.
There's nothing that the muskie eats that looks like that.
No, absolutely not.
A better question is, when does a muskie decide to eat? One answer might be when it wants to. Legend says it takes 10,000 casts to catch one.
As much as I love up north, I am kind of a city boy. I mean, the entire metro is just phenomenal fisheries.
So what's a muskie nut to do? Keep casting, keep wishing, and then...
Oh, got her, both sides, right there.
Ooh, he's barely hooked.
Nice, boy, you must hit right at the boat.
Keep the net up.
He's netted. Oh, you hit right at the boat.
Really nice sized fish here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beauty.
This is a really typical size fish out here. We have a great number of these mid 40-inch fish, pushing 20 pounds, so a ton of fun.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
The catch and release is really paying off with our muskie fishery here in Minnesota.
As it should, our fishing fairy tale has now come true. That's Muskie Love in every way.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, cooking over a campfire.
Up next, want to try a new kebab recipe for the summer grilling season? Laura Shera has a few ideas.
Just like that. Now we're just going to let that kind of cook through.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Yard.
Hey, welcome back. Time now to find out what's cooking wild in the kitchen. Today, Laura, Shara, and Chef Jim are outside cooking over a campfire.
Well, today we're getting wild in the outdoor kitchen and we're cooking up a summer staple, which is sunfish. I'm here with Chef Jim from Firelight Grillhouse and Cocktail Bar, and I'm excited about this recipe because it's a little bit healthier than the traditional shore lunch.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, cooking over a campfire. We're calling this one fish kebabs. So
Instead of shish kebabs.
There you go.
I like it, I like it.
So if you'll notice, we have taken all these beautiful vegetables and just skewered them right on the skewers. But the tricky part is the sunfish. So
Okay.
if you notice, I left the skin on, but took the scales off. This way they're not going to crumble apart on the campfire grill.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
So do you have to soak these bamboo sticks before you put them on the grill?
I do. The wooden ones, yes. The metal ones, obviously not. But the
Okay.
wooden ones, that's a good trick. That way they don't burn up over the fire. Before they go on the grill, we're going to just drizzle a little bit of olive oil over here and then sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on them.
All right.
Perfect. So you notice we have kind of a makeshift campfire here.
Yes.
You don't have to get fancy, it's just functional. So the idea is you get some nice coals underneath, nice flat grilling surface, and we're just gonna place these right on top to get some of that good char flavor, the heat, the smoke. Now the tomatoes are gonna cook first, so I'm gonna put those on the cooler part of the flame.
Okay.
Those don't take as long, but those peppers, those onions, they really need that nice high heat. And then the fish also, we wanna get kind of in that medium heat zone. So we'll go right over here with those guys.
Now I'm noticing you're putting it flesh side down.
We are, because when I flip it, I'm gonna give it just a little bit of glaze.
Okay.
And now we just wait and cook.
So how long does it take to cook the fish versus the vegetables?
It all depends on how hot your coals actually are. The vegetables are gonna take, especially the onions and the peppers, probably about 5 to 7 minutes. Fish, probably about 3 to 5 minutes. But you'll know it's done when you see that nice little char. The vegetables begin to soften and you can smell them.
So now it's time to add a little flavor?
That's right. We're gonna glaze those sunfish. If you want to just brush a little of that, just like a soy ginger glaze. There's a little fresh lemongrass in there. Just like that. Now we're just gonna let that kind of cook through another couple minutes and we should be ready to plate.
Wow. It's a quick recipe.
Quick recipe.
That's perfect when you're hungry sitting around the campfire.
Yeah, and you want to get out and catch more fish, right? Yeah. So we just took a bed of wild rice pilaf, placed our vegetables on top of that, and then our fish is kind of the icing on the cake.
So there you have it, a healthier way to cook your shore lunch. And thanks, Chef Jim. I am going to dive in here and take a little bite.
Please do. How's that?
Very good. Love the glaze and always love a healthy vegetable.
There you go.
There you have it, wild in the outdoor kitchen.
Technology in fishing is changing all the time, but it's really no good if we don't use it to our advantage. I'm going to talk about the moon and how it can help you when you go fishing next time. I've downloaded an app and it tells me when the moon is rising or setting right where I'm fishing right now. On my graph, I also have a sun and a moon, and it's based off of my GPS coordinates. Right now I know that the moon is going to rise at 3:04 p.m. today, and it's going to set at 3:04 a.m. Those are key feeding times for the biggest fish in the lake. Guys that fish walleye tournaments, muskie anglers, bass tournament anglers, they know that when the moon is rising or setting, they have to be on their best spots. Obviously, we're going to fish whenever we have time to fish, but it's important to pay attention to some of these details because it can make for a whole lot better day on the water. Use technology, understand the moon on your location to help you catch more fish.
There is so much stuff out there and it would go to waste.
Coming up, check out a program that's all about putting fishing rods into the hands of kids.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Grand Rapids Tourism, Vino in the Valley, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and by Tractor Boats.
You know, we're all fond of saying, let's get kids outdoors, let's introduce them to fishing. Well, guess what? There's an organization called Fishing for Life that has a unique program putting fishing tackle in the hands of youngsters. Travis Frank has the story.
Imagine staring over a lake full of fish, and you are a young kid that wants to catch them. But you have no hook, no line, and no rod and reel. It's a reality for some, and Tom Goodrich wants that to change. By putting a fishing pole into the hands of kids, he believes they'll fall in love with fishing and hopefully a life in the outdoors. And Tom has support.
So we're Fishing for Life. We've been around for 8 years.
Tom started the organization called Fishing for Life. Fishing for Life runs a program called Reel 'em In.
So the program is broken down into 3 parts: collecting, rebuilding, and distributions of rods and reels all over the state.
They collect old, unwanted equipment from people just like you and I, and then bring them back to life.
We all throw ourselves together, we can do it. I often get a widow a week call me saying, my husband passed away, what do we do with this stuff? And we get the joy of saying, you know what, we can put this stuff back in play and a kid may use it again. Today is the rebuilding day. It's one of 4 days that we schedule. Each day has 50 to 70 volunteers per day. You're all seasoned pros, huh? That's cool. We organize this with different civic groups or organizations. They come out, they get their hands dirty in one of the many stations we have here. Well, these are some nice ones. That's a good one. We've got all the equipment for every station, from rod rebuilding to stripping down the rods, rod tips.
These are the rods as they come into us, donated from the public. The reels will be taken off of these rods, and we sand down the cork handles, and we clean the whole and the entire rod. We make sure that all the eyelets are on there. If they're not a good rod, if there's only half of it, like this, there's only half of this rod. This is all that was donated. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to take it over to the fly swatter station, and we're going to turn this handle into a fly swatter.
Nothing gets thrown away through our Reel 'em In program.
We assemble these 2 together like that. Now this one here, we like these because we call this the scope. There you have it, fly swatter. Great for your cabin or boat.
There is so much stuff out there, and it would go to waste. And ultimately, we can resupply kids, get them back into outdoors, off the TV set and outdoors with a fishing rod that they get to take home.
Muskies Inc. has joined in too.
We will give 20 Muskie Inc. high schoolers rods, reels, and tackle boxes filled with Muskie gear. They will in turn take a younger kid out fishing and then be able to give them that equipment. Not only do they go fishing with the high school leaguers, they also get turned on to the sport and get to go home with Muskie level equipment.
This year, the Reel 'em In program hopes to top 1,000 rod and reel combos, each one going back into the hands of a kid that doesn't have one.
You know, we want fishing to continue for years to come, and the only way we're going to do that is to get the young kids involved in fishing.
Hooking a kid on the great outdoors can be as simple as the cast of a fishing pole, if they have one.
If you're taking kids out fishing, we want to be the body that gets you a bulk of rods and tackle boxes.
So here's your invitation. Drop off your old rod and reel with Fishing for Life. Perhaps one day a young kid will thank you after he's had the chance to reel 'em in.
I got one. See?
Nothing like giving a youngster a sport for a lifetime, huh? Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Sherritt, of course, always the star of the show, who's acting a little nervous now, is Raven. Want to be petted? Yes, I know, that's what it is.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com. Share your stories on the Minnesota Bound Facebook page under the Share Your Story tab.